Good morning, sports fans, and welcome to the Saturday Morning Sports Show here on 97.3 WRUL, 93.3 WROY, AM 1460, and online worldwide at WRUL.com. The sports show is brought to you by Little Giant Grocery Outlet, Rice Motor Company, Hale Body Shop, Carmi Lumber Company, Pro Rehab, People's National Bank, Taylor Eye Care, Bush & Associates CPAs, Wabash General Hospital, Hickinson's Farms, Hamilton Memorial Hospital, Rush Appliance, Citizens National Bank, J. Winter CPA, Cherry Street Automotive, Southern Illinois Trading and Supply, First Bank, Expressway Ford, Slays Carpet, Farrell Hospital, Country Financial Representative Kyle Hosick, Wabash Christian Village, Invenergy, and Jansen Auto Group. Cole Carter alongside Chris Myers, Haley Winkleman across the hallway getting us on the air as the Carmi White County Bulldogs defeated the Fairfield Mules last night by a final score of 42-26. It really took all four quarters for the Bulldogs to come from behind and get that win last night. They trailed 20-6 after one quarter of play and then outscored Fairfield 36-6 in the final three quarters. Chris, we were sitting up there last night after that first quarter, when Fairfield, their passing game looked pretty good. They took advantage of a couple of Carmi mistakes, a fumble, a blocked punt. Bulldogs were in a really tough spot, and we'll hear Coach Simon talk about it, but when high school kids, when you fall down two scores like that on the road against a good football team, sometimes you don't know what to expect.
No, I mean, you really mentally can go to a dark place in a situation like that, because I had said, one of the toughest things to do the week prior, as everyone knows, it was just a phenomenal game against Cesar. We just came up a little short, and you could just see the kids were just physically, mentally, and emotionally just spent, dragging themselves off the field after that game. It's hard to dust yourself off and get up after something like that just because you gave so much. And on top of that, obviously, as everyone knows by now, then the news breaks that Caleb Siebers unfortunately broke his ankle on top of that. So now you've got that you're dealing with. You're having to get back up mentally. Now you're having to adjust your lineup. Kids are going to have to move positions. And you're going in to play a team that's, been an opponent for 100 years. Records don't matter. A team that was 1-3. Desperate for their playoff future to do what they had to do to win, and it was a dangerous game. I say dangerous because that team is kind of like a cornered animal, fighting for their lives. You knew that's how Fairfield was going to come out and play. So, as you just said, Cole, we had just two disastrous mistakes that, set them up for some easy scores, and it just looked like they were just offensively just. For a couple of series there, it didn't even look like we were even challenging them. And when it's 20-6, and we were thinking, wow, we got to do something. This is kind of going to get a do-or-die situation. And these kids, these boys just absolutely showed the heart and character that you want and you have to be a playoff football team and a tough football team. And that second quarter just absolutely dug deep and turned things around quickly, and just kudos to them for just the way they turned around that second quarter.
Well, you mentioned, of course, Siebers going down, excuse me, and thoughts and prayers go to Caleb and his family. I saw him yesterday, and he said that he's going to find out Monday if he has to have surgery or not, and so just pray for that kid, because he is one heck of a baseball player as well, and I probably have to miss his wrestling season, but still hope for him this spring. But we were kind of thinking, okay, who is going to fill that void for Caleb, because he had pulled off these incredible games. You're talking the guy that played one less game than everybody else and still led the region in rushing yards, and that's big shoes to fill. And we went to last night not really sure how that would go, but our answer quickly became very, very obvious soon. Noah Pollard, what a game he had. 26 carries, 256 yards, and I thought he had 4 touchdowns. 4 total touchdowns. You couldn't ask for a better game from him.
No, it's you just said it best there. Who's going to step up? Well, the junior just said, I'm going to take it. I'm going to put it on my shoulders and go. And from the opening kickoff, when he ran that thing down to around the Fairfield's 20-yard line, you knew this young man said, I'm ready. I'm ready to step up, because you think about it as a sophomore. A year ago, most times as a sophomore, the backfield's going to be crowded. And that backfield was really crowded, as we know, a year ago. And then this year was his time. And what Siebers had done through the first 3 games was nothing short of incredible. And now, it was his time to shine, and he sure did. But along with that, you have to credit, as we'll hear from Coach Simon, the offensive line. What they've done every game this year is they are just playing phenomenal football up front, every position, all 5 of those guys, and the tight ends as well, helping with the blocking. And, Andrew Dotson, the veteran at fullback, his blocking and him getting tough yards when we need it on short yardage situations is just, everyone's stepping up. As I've said, the nature of the beast of football, unfortunately, injury is a part of it. Injury is a big factor in this game. As a player, you play the game, it's something you accept. And when it happens, it's devastating. You hate it for anyone, but unfortunately, it's just okay. Who's up next? And Noah Pollard, like I said, just absolutely was just phenomenal last night.
Noah Pollard scored on the second play from scrimmage. Carmi took a 6-0 lead with 11:01 to play in the first quarter. Not Norris City, I don't know where that came from. Fairfield then ripped off 3 straight touchdowns to lead at 20-6 after 1 quarter of play. But then Carmi was able to rip off 3 scores of their own: a 15-yard run by Pollard, a 28-yard pass from Driscoll to Cade Allen, and Andrew Dotson had a 6-yard run. Carmi then led at the break 28-20. Then in the third quarter, Fairfield was able to strike. Trey Mason a 3-yard touchdown run. The 2-point conversion failed. Then Noah Pollard, his 3rd touchdown of the night, this one from 44 yards out with 4:07 to play in the third. Then the nail in the coffin with 4 minutes to play. Noah Pollard, a 51-yard touchdown run. Fairfield did try to drive down twice, down by 2 scores there in the fourth quarter, and both times came up short. Somebody that Simon mentioned in the postgame show, I thought Landon Driscoll played an incredible football game last night on both sides of the ball. His best game passing-wise as a quarterback, had 2 big interceptions. The second one really helped seal the game. But Driscoll, and you can really name a lot of kids last night, Chris. I thought Carmi quarters 2 through 4, there's not many flaws, or I think everybody just played just a group effort. What an effort for the Bulldogs last night.
Again, after that first quarter, it was just like, it was bizarro world that first quarter. The Bulldogs were just doing things and characteristics of themselves, the turnovers, the block punt, and you really did for a second have to take a deep breath and say, okay, we've got to dig ourselves out of this quick because this thing could turn, and my goodness, how they did it, how they responded. And to your point, Cole, about Landon Driscoll, this is a kid who's a senior. He's been on that field in some capacity since he was a sophomore. Mm-hmm. He's, the way our offense is, it's no secret we're a run-heavy team. That's what we're always going to go to. That's just our system. But, what he's done as far as what I call keeping the ship in smooth waters. He's a good athlete. At 6'4", mobile, can jump and run. What he did when he was called upon to throw, he looked really good. Mm-hmm. He's rolling out to his left. It was good to see him and Cade Allen connect for that touchdown. Those are confidence builders because now okay, we got a kid we can call upon. If our run game isn't clicking, and we have 3rd and long or 2nd and long, we know we got a kid back there who can make good reads, who stays calm in the pocket. That's one thing about him. He doesn't panic even under pressure. When pressure's coming at him, he'll stand tall, make the throw he needs to make. And on the opposite side of the ball, what he did at his safety position, he's called upon as a safety as much as anything. That's exactly what you are, safety, and you're kind of the captain of the defensive backfield. You're the one lining people, saying, "Hey, over here, got 2 wide, get to your spot." He's just kind of the last line of defense. But he made 2 huge interceptions. They're late in the game, and just great plays at critical times. And that's what you want from a senior leader like him, and what he's provided. As far as just steady play on both sides of the ball. I mean, you can't place a value on that.
Stat-wise last night, first team stats, both teams had 17 first downs. Rushing-wise, Carmi had 296 total yards rushing with 40 carries. Fairfield, 26 carries for 109 yards. 40 passing yards for Carmi, 195 passing yards for Fairfield. The Bulldogs, 336 total yards of offense to Fairfield's 304. Both teams lost a fumble. Fairfield had 3 turnovers. Carmi with just 1. Carmi was 2 for 7 on third down. Fairfield 5 for 12. The Bulldogs were 1 for 2 on fourth down. Fairfield 2 for 5. Relatively clean game in the penalty department. Just 9 combined penalties for 70 combined yards. And then in the individual stats for Carmi, Noah Pollard, 26 carries, 256 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Andrew Dotson had 9 carries for 52 yards and a score. Cale Wiggins had 2 carries for -1 yards. And that was all the positive rushing for the Bulldogs. Cade Allen had 2 catches for 40 yards and 1 touchdown. Here's what Kurt Simon had to say last night after the Bulldogs defeated Fairfield 42-26.
Well, Coach, I don't want to make you feel old, but I was 11 years old last time you won at this field. I'm sure it feels pretty good right now.
It has been a while. You're right. We talked about all week about, at some point in time when you get in a rivalry game and you get at third place, that things aren't going to look good. They're not going to look good. There are highs and lows in all football games. But in this one, when we got down 2 scores, the kids it showed a lot of character and just kept playing, didn't let it bother them, go to the next play, and my hats are off to them. Kids really played well.
Yeah, I mean, what else can you say? I mean, there's so many things for me personally coming into this Week 5 game every year. We've talked about year in, year out. Records don't matter when it comes to these 2 teams. But for you as a coach, that game last week was just obviously physically, mentally, and emotionally draining.
Right.
And then you get the news on Monday. You lose your best, the leading rusher in Southern Illinois. Great kid, Caleb Sievers, a senior. Just hearts go out to him. What a great kid. What a great asset to your team. And you come in here knowing you got a Fairfield team that's dangerous, talented, and, they had a lot to play for tonight.
Oh, absolutely.
And so to me, this game was just one of those, this is going to be a fight. And what your kids did, we were talking up here, that first quarter just seemed like what could go wrong was going wrong. But credit to you, the way you teach these kids, and credit to those kids, the way they turned around in that second quarter, to me, was nothing short of phenomenal.
They just hung in. And like I said, it was something that we did talk about all week, about how, there's highs and lows in games. And at some point in time, they got their home crowd going crazy, and we're up at the train yard, and all that stuff's going to happen, and you guys just can't let it bother you. You got to, next play starts 40 seconds from now. You just got to keep playing. And like I said, I thought all of our kids stepped up. Obviously, losing, Sievers is a big blow to us, and it's a big blow to us, not just, his physical ability on the field, but his senior leadership and what he brings for our team. But by the same token, it is what it is, and it's a chance to build character. Your team to build character around that. Okay, this is what happened. Now we all have to step up and play better. And I think we did that. And our strength of our team is up front. We know that. And Noah Pollard would be the first one to tell you tonight that I'm going to tell you what, Andrew Dotson blocked his butt off tonight.
Yes.
Did a great job at fullback, kicking the end out. So just team play, just team play. And you're so proud of the kids when you see them do unselfish things like that. And we can't. There's not another more unselfish player than Andrew Dotson.
Yeah.
He plays wherever we need him to play. He did a good job, had some good runs tonight. I know he had one called back, but I just thought overall the kids just played together. They stayed positive, and they just kept pushing.
Absolutely. I think for me personally, the turning point in the game, we had them about 4th and 8, 9, around in there. I thought they jumped. They call it on us. Now you're 4th and 2. They're on midfield. They get that. We're still down a score.
Yeah.
Momentum may be different, but I mean, 2 of your big players, Dodson forced that. He came up and got in the quarterback's face, forced that pitch to be early. Pollard made the big play. To me, that was the turning point of the game. Can you talk about how
you felt your defense adjusted from that point on and how they
Well,
played?
the defense really did a nice job in the second half coming out, and we feel like our kids are in good condition. And we talk about fourth quarter and about lasting all 4 quarters and playing and all that kind of stuff all the time. And I think this was one of those games that you can attribute some of that to. That when you preach that, and you guys know it, you've been around for a long time around this program, that we got to be a second half team because we're going to outwork everybody. And it looks like it showed tonight. Our kids, use the word resilient. A lot of people use that a lot of times or whatever. They just hung in there and just kept playing hard. Hats are off to them. Did a great job.
Obviously, a great night from Noah Pollard, and you mentioned Andrew Dodson, but how about your 5 guys up front on both sides of the ball, really, and especially Connor Buchanan still being out, Dakota Southard stepping up, and we made the point. That's 2 pretty tough teams to face in your first 2 varsity games, but I thought all around your guys up front on both sides of the ball did a great job.
I'm telling you, that is the heart of our team, and anytime we've ever been worth a darn, it starts with the line of scrimmage. There's no question about it. And those guys have done a great job. They did a really good job last year, got a lot of playing time, and and coming into this year, they don't come off the field a lot. We don't have a lot of subs, and when you ask a guy, whether it be Eli or GP or Nelson to just stay on the field constantly, I mean, they're pushing on big people a long time. Yeah. So, I mean, you guys both know what I'm talking about, that it's physically exhausting or whatever, and they're good players for us, man. I mean, they are the heart of the team, and allows guys like Noah Pollard, who we're not taking anything away from Noah because he had a heck of a night and did a great job, but those guys up front are special.
And finally, for me, just hitting on that again, Austin Owen has never played center.
Never played center
his
before.
whole life.
Yeah.
And to come in, and you got to do it against Sesser.
Yep.
And shotgun, people watching at home, I've said this time and time again, when you're in the shotgun, everything is timing. Yeah. If a snap is off a split second, if a snap is low, I mean, your play is done. Yep. I mean, you're just taking a loss.
And that's just a tribute to a senior.
Yes.
That, we know our numbers are low, and we know when someone goes down, someone's going to have to come over. He's got to move over. You got to go play that spot, and he comes back. That's just the way it is, and it's not anything that we haven't seen before. But things like that, like Austin going to center, because we just feel like he's a little bit heavier, and we need him. Hey, you're a senior, Austin. You got to be able to figure it out. Let's go. and he's done a great job so far.
Yeah.
I thought Landon Driscoll played a really good game.
And
I mean, I don't know if I can't remember. I think we were up 28-20 or whatever, but we almost snapped it over his head on the punt.
Yes.
And he went up like a basketball player. And that could have been a disaster.
We said the exact same thing. I looked at Cole and I said,
play. Then he booted it all the way down.
Yeah. I said,
he had a good game.
Cole's good thing he's 6'4" and can jump.
I'm telling you. I am telling you.
Yeah.
And he threw the ball well tonight.
Yeah.
Had a couple picks. I mean, that's what you
hope
and always look for your seniors.
Yeah. Anybody else you want to brag about?
Yeah, you can just go down the line.
I love them all.
Yeah.
And of course, it's great to win. Obviously, it's great to win.
Well, great win tonight, Coach. You guys, you don't want to say eases the schedule, but this gauntlet's kind of out of the way. You got CZR on the road next week. They've had a tough year, but what do we know about them?
Well, the bottom line is for us, and the way we always look at it is, what are we going to do to get better this next week? It's almost like it's an invisible opponent. We got to do things down at the end of College Boulevard and keep doing things to get better every day, and that's always been what we've always preached, and that's what we'll go into, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. I haven't seen Christopher on film yet, so I don't know.
All right. Well, congrats on the win, Coach. Thanks for your time.
All right.
Enjoy it.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Coach.
Yep.
That was Kurt Simon last night after the Bulldogs defeat Fairfield 42-26 to improve to 4-1 on the season. Noah Pollard, that 256-yard rushing game was good for the 11th best in school history. So we were thinking last night, well, that's got to be close up there to the most of all time, but we forgot guys like Logan Rogers and Blake Renshaw, Dylan Rankin existed. But 11th most rushing yards in a game in school history last night for Noah Pollard. Other scores from around Southern Illinois. In the Black Diamond, it was Everett County took the forfeit over Vienna. Johnson City over Flora 46-6. Hamilton County shuts out El Dorado 26-0. Cesta Valier shuts out Christopher Ziegler Royalton 68-0. 0. In the Little Illini, Mount Carmel over Paris 49-7. Newton over Olney 28-20. Robinson over Marshall 25-0. Casey Westfield will play Lawrenceville today. In the River to River, Benton over AJ 42-8. DuQuoin over Pinckneyville 61-19. Nashville edges out West Frankfort 48-42. Harrisburg over Massac County 41-0. And Murfreesboro over Heron 49-14. And I believe that was all the relevant scores from around our area. We'll go ahead and take our first break of the day. When we come back, we'll have a chat with our special guest right here on the Saturday Morning Sports Show on 97.3 WRUL, 93.3 WROY, AM 1460. Welcome back to the Saturday Morning Sports Show here on 97.3 WRUL, 93.3 WROY, and AM 1460. Cole Carter and Chris Myers. Hayden Winkleman across the hallway getting us on the air. Now introducing our special guest for the day, and we'll just randomize what we want to identify him as. I'll do the professional identification. The CWC golf coach, Trey Mason, joining us this morning.
Can I be unprofessional? He's a golf coach. He's a teacher. He's the public address announcer, and he rushed for 67 yards last night for the Fairfield Mules. It's pretty impressive.
Sure, you're tired this morning.
Yes, my legs are tired, and it was funny being at the game. To back up a little bit, when he was in 8th grade, their track coach, Justin Sanders, I've known him for a while. He called me over, and he was actually he's quite a bit younger than me. He was a lifeguard for my brother when my brother ran the pool, and my brother's name is Trent. So he brought both those kids over, and he said, "This is Trey Mason and Trent Mason." And I was like, that is the weirdest thing ever. I've never really been around another Trey, but let alone a Trey Mason. So, and then last night at the game, every time they called out his name when he did something good, I swear some of the fans looked at me like, seriously? And so I thought about leaving at one point. But it was neat, and it was a great game last night. It was a fun one to watch, and I was glad I went because it was just it was a good one. Good to see us win too.
Yeah. Well, Coach, talking about your golf season, it's somehow nearing the end. I believe you guys have your final regular season match next week. Is that correct?
Yeah, we're in our final push, that's for sure. And this time of year, our final push, we're I can't remember the last time I ate supper with my wife. We've just been we've been on the road so much, played so many rounds of golf. But Monday we go to Mount Carmel. That'll be a tough one. It's their senior night. Both, their girls are phenomenal every year, but their boys are solid this year. We take Tuesday off, and then boys, Wednesday we'll go to the regional at Mount Vernon and Green Hills, and then Thursday girls will go to regional at West Frankfort. So pretty important week for us, and it should be a good one. We've had a great year so far.
And, Coach, you just want to bring us up to speed on where you're at, for the boys' season and girls' season as far as how your season's gone up to this point and some highlights?
Sure, yeah. We've, golf is so mental and mentally breaks you down. I would almost bet if you'd ask the boys of the girls' team, how's your season been going, I almost bet there would be a touch of negativity in their response because sometimes when they're on the course, they just think they're not doing well because golf mentally just beats you down. But right now the girls are 17-13, and just before we came on, I was kind of looking, and really those 17 losses for the girls, they came at the hands of Mount Carmel, Massac, Hamilton County, Salem, Breeze Central, Centralia, Harrisburg, and Marion. So besides Hamilton County, just all schools that are way bigger than us. So 17-13, I'm extremely happy with their effort this year. Probably since I've taken over it, I think it's maybe the most successful girls team we've had. So I'm happy with their performance. They've done great. I've got some really good girls there. And then on the boys' side, just as good or even better, 31-17. We've had some great wins, and again, their losses, pretty much all 17 of them from teams we've played twice or maybe even 3 times, have came to the hands of Mount Carmel, Hamilton County, Trico, Salem, Benton, Carterville, AJ, Centralia, and Mount Vernon. So again, all big schools. Benton, best around. Salem really gives Benton a run for their money, so one of the best around. So really, we've had a great season. They've been really successful. They're a great bunch of golfers. They're young, going to be even better next year. So I'm happy with what's been going on.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but really, your schedule made up of a lot of bigger schools, but a lot of the smaller schools don't really have golf. Is that kind of? I know that used to be the trend. I know some of the smaller schools have picked it up, but you really had no choice but to schedule these bigger schools to face.
Yeah, and that's funny. Several schools are coming on with golf. Albion started a golf team this year, and I'm always surprised at some of the smaller schools. But yeah, to really to get some competition, not to take away from anything from those small schools, but to play some great courses, hard courses, we do have to take on Salem and teams like that. But golf's coming on pretty good. There's a lot of schools starting junior high programs, and it seems like it's really growing the last 2 years.
And going back to just the girls' schedule, and I want to highlight the boys. You said on the boys' side, Benton is the top school around. And correct me if I'm wrong, the Mount Carmel girls golf, have they a couple state finalists or championships in there
here
in recent years?
Yeah, last year last year they were probably the best girls team I've ever seen. They did graduate 2 seniors, but they just reloaded. They're if you ever get a chance to see them play, they've got girls that are like 100 pounds and 5'2", but then they reach back and just kill the ball off the tee. It's amazing. But yeah, they're loaded. And I said golf's so mental. It's really tough just to play with a team with that kind of I don't know if I'd say legacy, but they just they've been so great over the last few years, and we're going to go in there Monday. It's their senior night, and it's a really tough atmosphere. I do have to remind the kids they have some of the best cookies, and they feed us after the match, so you got to have something to look forward to, and that's one of them. But yeah, we play some tough competition, and my hat is really off to these kids because it's not easy. So,
and which course would you say is the most difficult course to play on of all everyone on your schedule?
We play West Frankfort a lot. That's Franklin County Country Club, and back in my day, that was the course. There's a lot of trouble there. Our BDC championship, it's played there. I'm glad we get to play it a lot because it just is different than playing a 9-hole course. So when you get to play an 18-hole course of that caliber, it just makes you better. So I rank that one up there as for us one of the toughest. We go to the Salem Invite. That's a tough course, and that's everyone says also it has the dumbest hole in Southern Illinois. It has a hole that takes a 90-degree turn, but it's a tough course. It's a homer course is what we call it. If it's your home course, and that's why we go to the Salem Invite, and it's a good tune-up for BDC, but a lot of times we get drilled pretty good over there because Centralia and Mount Vernon, those guys all play Salem's course. So, I feel like our schedule is tough, and a lot of courses are tough, and I think it provides us with a good challenge.
You're looking at your roster, you guys are a pretty young team, both boys and girls, just one total senior, that being Connor Knoll. But we talked to you last year, and you kind of thought that this young group of both boys and girls, when they kind of matured and got to that varsity-ready level, you guys would be pretty good, and you could see that starting to show off. Yeah,
and that really our scores this year have been indicative of that. We've had some of the younger boys where they might be medalists one match and then they might shoot a high score. It's just their youth is plays a big key in golf, and they're streaky. But the boys, when they all put it together, they can really play some golf, and they can play some great golf. Perfect example is we beat Hamilton County once, but then these young guys just had an off day, and Hamilton County comes back and beats us. So, and that's golf too. Girls, same way. I've got 5 juniors that when they put it all together, they're pretty tough. When it comes to regional, both boys and girls, if they could really just fire on all cylinders, we really have a shot to be one of those 3 teams that qualify out and move on.
That's good. And, Coach, do you want to give us just a quick rundown of your roster on both the boys and girls? Just list the kids.
Sure. Boys this year, I think it's the most I've ever had. But like you said, I've got senior Connor Newell, and then everybody else pretty young. We got Aiden Willis, Maxon O'Daniel, Jordan Tomasetti, Gabe Winkleman, Abe Gerton, Jax Jordan. All these guys kind of been with me for a while. And then some newbies, but coming along pretty good. We've got Garrett Catlin, Cooper French, Miles Barnett, Caden Holloman, just a freshman, but he actually is traveling with us a lot. He's a pretty salty little golfer. Cole Kingston, Reese Whitley, and Connor Benham. And then on the girls' side, I've got 5 juniors. They've been with me for a while. They're a fun bunch. Ava Sheaver qualified last year for sectional, so hoping this year kind of big things at regional. And then Courtney Snow, Mae Vatterbury, Kinley Carter, Sadie Balding, who we refer to as our team mom. And then we got 2 freshmen, Caitlin Davis and Eva Grogan. So got a lot of kids this year. And I do, like I said earlier, golf does seem to be kind of on the rise. And so, it's a good thing.
Do you have anybody help you, or is it you tackling all these kids on your own?
I do get just a little bit of help here and there, but I am kind of the main guy. The golf course is good. Carmi Country Club's good about kind of, letting the kids play. John Rice, I'd have to definitely give a shout-out to him because he gives a lot of the kids lesson, spends a lot of time with them, and but for the most part, it's kind of me and an activity bus and a bunch of kids. So sounds like maybe a movie there, but
what could go wrong?
Yeah. So, but it's a lot of fun. There are a lot of kids, but we get the job done.
And you talked about some of these other schools starting up some junior high programs. From what I understand, we don't really have an organized junior high golf team. So, I would imagine some of these freshmen, when they come in, they've probably played here and there, but never really played golf fully. So, how do you kind of at the younger levels work to get these kids ready for high school?
Yeah, then that's and again, I will say that's kind of been an important part of John Rice. He, like Caden Holloman, he's been taking lessons for a while, and he's just a freshman. But John's got him in great shape. I would say that the disadvantage to not getting to some of them is there are so many rules in golf, and you can find yourself disqualified or DQ'd if you don't know the rules. So I think that's going to be a benefit of those other schools starting those junior high programs, because the rules, it's just such a big part of golf. So that's definitely a benefit and maybe a disadvantage to our kids, just not knowing the rules. But, and I think eventually, there might be somebody like to volunteer and help out with that. I think our school systems have always been more than willing and open-minded to start some of those things. So, I think it could be a great opportunity.
Last question for me. You just mentioned, rules, knowing rules. And, you may have touched on this in the past, but just for a reminder for me, on regular season matches, it's just basically each hole, it's each kids from each team word again. I mean, it's just an honor system, more or less, about, if where this ball land, that kind of thing.
Right.
If it's a regular season match and, kids are just kind of disagreeing about something, who steps in? I mean, I know obviously the postseason you have officials there, but how is that handled?
Right. Yeah. That's a great question, and it that comes up more than what you would think too. I always tell my kids, Jace Brzezinski was the best golfer I had that would just flat out call you out He would say, you didn't have a 6 because you were laying 5 behind that tree. So, and that's really what you have to do. You just have to be able to tell them, no, your tee shot went here on 1 and you were laying 3 there, and then you were on the green in 4 and you 2-putted. And if they can't then come to an agreement, we actually use an app now to keep our score, and there's a button on there that says call for ruling, and we go out and
the coaches kind of confer.
Yeah, and it is kind of up to the kids, and it is something that it's went on in high school golf since I played high school golf, and it's tough to battle. Kids do it, and I'm not going to be naive to say maybe even I haven't had a kid on my team do it, but we do get a lot of parents follow, so it does get sniffed out pretty quick if you are, and then you do kind of get that reputation. So that's it's not something you want, but hopefully the kids can work that out. But it is something that it comes up.
Mm-hmm. So I know you guys, like you said, regular season wrapping up. Regionals are next week for the boys and girls. I don't know if you mentioned where regionals are for both of them and kind of who they're going to be going up against and how you think that will fare.
Yeah, boys, we'll travel to Mount Vernon, Illinois, to Green Hills Country Club. It's similar setup to West Frankfort, which we play a lot, so that'll be beneficial. I would almost have to think we've got one of the toughest regionals around. Effingham, St. Anthony, who they've won so many championships, it's not even funny. We're paired with them this year. T-Town, they're up there, and then Hamilton County's there. Flora beat us once. We beat them at their place. So there's going to be there's going to be 5-6 teams that are real competitive. We definitely have a shot, I believe, to make it out of there. And then on the girls' side, they go to West Frankfort. That's a great pull for us because we play there a lot. And, of course, Mount Carmel's going to be there, and Massac County girls, who are maybe on just a slightly lower level than Mount Carmel. So those two, I look for them to really probably clean up on 1 and 2, but third place could be anybody's ball game, and that gets you out and moves you on to sectional. So I do feel like if we're on our A game, we could be that third team. And so, I think everybody else at the girls' regional, we've kind of gotten close to or we beat. So I like our odds on both sides there.
And so like you said, now refresh me. So the top 3 teams, they move on, and the top 6 individual that are on those top 3 teams, is that right?
Yeah, well, it's a complicated little formula, but you're close. It is top 3 teams, and then what they do is they pull all those golfers out of those top 3 teams, and then they populate the top 10. And so then if you're top 10, not on a qualified team, gotcha, then you can move on too. And we've, through the years, we've had a lot of golfers go on. Even if we're not those top 3 teams, I do suspect we'll have some boys and girls move on to the next level. So, that'll be exciting.
So one thing I always like picking your brain about, this is your 6th year as coach, 7th?
Well, I don't know. I think I'm getting up there 8 or 9.
Gotcha.
I know.
They all blend together.
Yeah, they do.
But I believe it was back 2018, 2019. We had those 2 really good golf teams, went to state, got fourth place in state, back-to-back years. Talk about those 2 teams and how much fun that was.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned that. When our pairings came out, I still talk to those guys, Caden Carter and Alex O'Daniel and Casey Fulkerson. And they were a fun bunch, and they were a funny bunch. And we had so many matches against Effingham, St. Anthony. And so when the pairings came out, I screenshotted it, and I sent it to those guys, because what was weird is the same last names that when we went to state against St. Anthony, they had the same last names. Huh. And so they had some inside jokes that I probably shouldn't repeat on air, but they made those comments in the thread, and it just brought back so many memories of those guys just really loved to play golf, and their attitudes were just always positive and excited, and that's what it takes in golf. Just earlier we were talking about Coach Prime. That's the one thing I like about Coach Prime, just his positivity and the way he's gotten the kids to believe in themselves. And man, that's golf, because if you get down, boy, it can go bad real quick. And that group was just great about having a great attitude, having fun, and playing golf. And so if our kids can do that, I think the future is bright. Not only just this year, but next year too, since we're young.
Last question for me. You're wearing your Colorado hat right now, but you wear many a hats. Along with being the golf coach, you're a teacher here in Carmi, also the public address voice for the Bulldogs, and even this year you picked up the junior high athletic director, and you've dealt with me more than you want to, I'm sure. But how have you been able to juggle all this stuff? Because that's a lot.
It is, and this year my daughter went to USI, so she's kind of away at college. My wife's taking on a new job in the district. That it is a lot. I personally feel like the kids are worth it. Our school system's worth it. I want us to absolutely go into every football game, junior high baseball game, golf match, whatever it is, and just be the number one opponent. I want us to have that program that everybody's jealous of. That's really what drives me to do all these things, because I absolutely want our best for our kids. As the public address, you guys talked about the Cesar game, having these kids in class, and then losing that heartbreaker. Man, it was a punch in the gut to myself, because I've had these kids in class, and man, you just feel terrible for them when they lose a game like that. But it's awesome too when we go to Fairfield and win a game. And I will say too that if you haven't been to a football game this year, man, pack the stands. Our kids are fun. They're exciting to watch. Not to take anything away from the golf team, we're fun. We're exciting to watch. We got so many programs that are just great, and I mean, I think that's what drives me to do it. And there's tons of teachers and other coaches that they do the same thing. I mean, you guys, know that especially, but it takes so many people to pull it off. So that's why I do it.
We appreciate you.
Absolutely.
The job you do, public address. Teacher. I know kids just love you to death. And we appreciate what you do for the community.
Well, I appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
It's a good gig.
Well, Trey, thanks for stopping by this morning. Best of luck next week as you guys begin regionals, and look forward to hearing you a couple Fridays from now when the Bulldogs get back home.
All right, thanks.
We'll go ahead and step aside for a short break right here on the Saturday Morning Sports Show on 97.3 WRUL, 93.3 WROY, AM 1460. Back to the Saturday Morning Sports Show on 97.3 WRUL, 93.3 WROY, AM 1460. Big thanks to Trey Mason stopping by this morning and chatting with us about the golf seasons this year for the Carmi-White County boys and girls as they begin regionals later next week. Looking ahead to what's coming up this week for Carmi-White County, as I pull up the Event Link app. And that's something for those of you Bulldog fans. You got to invest in the Event Link app, a chance to have all the Bulldog sports scheduled at the palm of your hand. Coming up on Monday, as we talked to Trey about, the boys and girls golf teams will travel to Mount Carmel. And then on Tuesday, the girls tennis team will host Heron, and the Lady Bulldog volleyball team will host Fairfield, which should be an exciting one. If you don't have any plans for Tuesday, I recommend getting down to McDougal-Evers and watching the Lady Bulldogs take on Fairfield. You'll also be able to watch it on the WRUL Sports YouTube channel. That's going to be an exciting one. The girls golf team boys will start their regional on Wednesday. Tennis will travel to Charleston. Girls golf starts their regional on Thursday. Cross country is at Robinson on Thursday. Volleyball hosts Flora on Thursday. The Bulldog football team will travel to Christopher on Friday. But mentioned Tuesday, Chris, that volleyball game, I'm excited for that one.
The Bulldogs with only one loss on the season. You pointed out, we were talking for one on air, Cole, that they haven't lost a set since they played North City.
Yeah, so their one loss was a 3-set loss to North City, and they've ripped off 9 straight wins without giving up a set since then.
And then Fairfield, have they lost a game this year? Are they undefeated?
I think maybe one. So but they're the number 7 team in the state. Carmi's number 12.
So that is definitely going to be something volleyball fans, and I know we have a great student section. But yeah, if you don't have anything going on, that's going to be the place to be Tuesday night. That's going to be a heck of a game.
Absolutely. And if you can't make it, you'll be able to watch it on the WRUL Sports YouTube channel. Jason Craig will be on the call for that one. All right, we'll go ahead and do our Terrible 10 pick'ems for the week. Chris got me back last week. He went 7-3. I went 4-6. As college football has not treated either of us very good. But a lot of good games going on today in college and some NFL action tomorrow. Starting off today with number 15 Ole Miss at number 13 Alabama. I will go with the Crimson Tide here at home.
I'm going to go ahead and go against the grain. I think, people say, what's wrong with Alabama, this or that. This is just my personal opinion. It's called NIL and the transfer portal. It's catching up. It's kind of leveling the playing field. So I'm going to say Ole Miss on the upset on the road.
And it is at Alabama, but you'll still go with the Rebels there.
Rebs.
Interesting game, one that I'll probably watch. Number 19 Colorado at number 10 Oregon. Man, Colorado is something special what they're doing out there in Boulder, but they do have one of their best players out for a few weeks. Oregon's a handful. They got a pro quarterback there at the helm. I will go with the Ducks here.
I'm going to have to do the same. What Coach Prime has done has been nothing short of phenomenal. It's a national. I mean, it's gripped the nation what he's done. But at the end of the day, an established program, that's kind of been on a roll is probably going to be a little too much for him today. So I'm going to go with Oregon.
Number 22 UCLA at number 11 Utah. Utah, pretty good squad playing at home. Give me the Utes.
I will go with the Utes as well.
All right. This is the big one to watch today. Number 6 Ohio State at number 9 Notre Dame. I'll tell you what, I've seen both these teams play a little bit. Ohio State has the best receiver in the country right now. Notre Dame's got Sam Hartman at quarterback. Everyone's saying, when is Notre Dame going to win that big game? I think it's today. I think Notre Dame gets the Buckeyes today. Give me the Irish.
I almost want to agree with you, but I just still think Ohio State just has that something. They just still have a lot of swagger, even on the road. Notre Dame's, obviously, it's a tough place to play, but I think Ohio State just still has a little too much talent, and they pull that one off.
Last one, number 14, Oregon State at number 21, Washington State. I will take the Beavers on the road.
I will do the same.
All right, on to tomorrow's NFL action. Battle of a couple 0-2 teams, surprising 0-2 teams. The Chargers at the Vikings. I think Minnesota will get their first one of the year tomorrow.
I'm just going to go with Minnesota because every time I pick the Chargers, they lose. So they do it on purpose. So
I think so.
Minnesota out of spite.
Falcons at the Lions. Falcons 2-0. Lions a tough loss last week. I do think Detroit will bounce back and get the win tomorrow at home.
Kind of got the same sentiment. I'm a little. Every time I pick the Lions, something happens. But I'll go ahead and give them the benefit of the doubt.
The Saints at the Packers. Both these Saints are 2-0. Packers are 1-1. This is in Green Bay. Packers' first home game of the season. I will go with Green Bay here.
The Saints have been interesting. They got Carr. Carr came over from the Raiders, and boy, that's another one. I'm going to go with the Saints. I think the Saints take it.
All right. Titans at the Browns. Tennessee, they had a big win last week over the Chargers. Browns are also 1-1 in Cleveland. Give me the Browns.
I'll do the same. Even though they lost Nick Chubb, I think the Browns are a much better football team they've been in recent years.
And the last one, Patriots surprisingly 0-2 for the first time since before Tom Brady. They are at the Jets. Of course, Jets with no Aaron Rodgers. Give me the Patriots here.
And I'm going to say it again. Jets,
Oh,
Jets,
okay.
Jets. And this time I'm picking them.
All righty.
I like saying it just to say it, but I am picking the Jets.
All right. Well, there's our terrible 10 picks for the day. And, Chris, as far as just kind of the busyness of the fall sports season really coming in fruition here, of course, regionals right around the corner for the golf team. Lady Bulldogs, they're kind of in the meat of their schedule, but that big match coming up on Tuesday, and of course the Bulldog football team. I know Kurt won't, he'll never say it, but the schedule does ease out over the next couple of weeks. I mean, these are 3 games coming up that the Bulldogs should win, and if they do win, it's going to set up a showdown again, Week 9 with Johnson City, this time at home. If things continue the right direction, JC would be 8-0. Carmi would be 7-1. If Sesser does defeat Johnson City, who knows what can happen. But it's setting up for that game, Week 9, to be very meaningful.
Yeah, it's kind of starting to play out how we were kind of leaning towards. The consensus before the year was that Sesser was going to be tough. Johnson City just reloaded. And the Mules and the Bulldogs will be right there in the mix, and it's definitely starting to shape up that way. After Week 5, you got the picture gets a lot clearer, And the big thing for the Bulldogs going into this week, I mean, you take it a game at a time.
Mm-hmm.
You're going into week 6. You're not looking at week 9 yet. You have to take it a game at a time. And the biggest thing for the kids is preparation-wise, you can't look at the record of your opponent. I mean, that goes both ways. When you're playing someone really good, obviously you're like, hey, okay, practice, we're focused, we're locked and loaded. The danger when you're playing a team that's winless or maybe won one game is that you tend to say, well, we can just show up, or we don't have to go as hard in practice this week. That's a dangerous mentality to get into, because when you do that, you start playing sloppy. Injuries can happen, mistakes happen, turnovers. You don't want that. So the challenge for the kids, obviously, this week will just be staying laser focused mentally, preparing like they're undefeated. Like the opponent you're playing hasn't lost a game. That's just how you have to prepare. And so when you go to Christopher next week, you're mentally ready to go, and you go take care of business and get out of there with the W.
So again, the Bulldogs will be at CZR on Friday. Me and Chris will be there. We'll also be here in the studio next Saturday for the Saturday Morning Sports Show. And anybody wanting to go back and listen to these sports shows, they can do so on the WRUL Sports YouTube channel. Those are all being uploaded there. So again, a big thanks to Trey Mason stopping by this morning and chatting with us. Our next broadcast is going to be Tuesday night on the WRUL Sports YouTube channel. When the Lady Bulldogs take on the Lady Mules in volleyball, that will be a dandy indeed. Big thanks to Haley Winkleman across the hallway getting us on the air. For Chris Myers, I'm Cole Carter. Have a great weekend, Bulldog fans.